Hello, and thank you for your contribution to Molly's Enhappification project. I'm David Knott, the co-EP and supervising director of the Ghost of Molly McGee, and I'm going to try to teach you how to draw Darryl. Now, he's a lovable scamp, but he's also kind of tricky to draw because he's so compact and squat and short. So hopefully this will be helpful. Now, I did a practice drawing as I tried to figure out the pose. It's a little hairy looking, but that's okay. You got to give yourself the opportunity to explore and make mistakes. And so looking at this, I have my line of action, which is really important. You can see that the head doesn't really, it's not, it should be a little bit scooched this way to be on that line of action. But the rest of it generally kind of follows that line of action. So he's got like this bow to his body, which gives it more appeal. And we'll try to work through this. He's got lots of layers of clothes that are a little tricky, but, we'll go through it one by one. And, like in the storyboards, we kind of fudge it and, hope it gets figured out down the road. But let's tackle it. Let's jump right in. So get our line of action. It's really important because if without it, you could end up drawing a very stiff kind of straight up and down pose that just doesn't have a lot of life. So I'm drawing with a pen. Feel free to draw with a pencil. Don't worry about erasing. Just move ahead, and it's good practice not to worry about mistakes. And, construction lines are just kind of cool. Gives your drawing some life. So I'm going to draw my construction lines kind of lightly. And then when I clean up, we'll get a little darker. So let's kind of rough in his circular head shape. Now that's more or less on that line of action. Now I want his body to, let's look at this. There's a head. A lot of times we measure by head. So his body is almost like a head. It's a little bit more than a head. So got to kind of pay attention to those proportions. So I'm just kind of roughing in the general pose before I get into the details. Because if I don't, even with my practice drawing, the details kind of got the better of me and that lost a little bit of life. So now I can work it out a little bit more and give him a little more panache. Okay. So that's kind of generally his waist and his pants they're almost like riding pants in a way, but it's like a slouchy sweats or athleisure, sweatpants. He's a very got to be comfortable fella. So he's always in comfortable clothes. So this side of the pants overlap that one because it's the leg closer to us. So it's a little wider than that one is. So you can see now I'm going to kind of just rough in his shoe and foot shape. That's pretty good. Maybe up a little bit like that. I'll add the details later. This one kind of comes down like that. Kind of comes in Z space a little more. Because it's closer to us, it's a little bit bigger. So I think this is looking pretty good in general. So let's go ahead and let's start with his head. His head is kind of cocked on an angle. There's that line that tells us it is. Now we know his ear top of his ear goes on the top of that line. And his ear is tucked behind his hair. So this is his hairline that has this little pointy little side kind of bang / sideburn. And his other ear, the hair kind of comes down on an angle and then hits the side of his cheek and goes behind it, so we don't see it anymore. Okay, so now his hair generally has this kind of, like when we're roughing him in on the boards, this is what we do first. Just that. And then he has one little cutout that goes into this big comma hair that goes up to the spike. And then he has this big one that swoops down to here, like right when it changes direction. That's where you're going to put the other one. And that feeds into the back of his head. And his ear kind of separates that line that goes to the back of his head and his bang. So this bang then goes up to like his hairline, right? And then this line goes, once you're past that center line, it's like this comma of hair that comes down that goes between his eyebrows. And then it goes up, and you kind of follow that hairline over to the other side of his head. So now we got his hair roughed in. Let's put his nose there. That's easy peasy. It's kind of like just to the left of that center line. Cooking up some scheme to make some money. So he's super happy. Oh, lovable scamp. It's like, Scratch, come on, man. We're going to sell Molly's plasma and earn $1 million. Oh, that's horrible. Forget I said that. And then his eyes so kind of have these like downturned corners. So they're really interesting. So let's start at the corner and swoop down to that construction line and then swoop back up, and then we're going to end it on a down kind of line. Do the same thing over here. Swoop to the corner. And I'll make sure that kind of points downward. Now the eye that's closest to it is always going to be a little bigger than the one that's on the other side of the head. And then draw his pupils. Try to get them looking right at you. It's always kind of tricky sometimes. Add an eyebrow here. And an eyebrow here. See, it's tricky. I had to fix that. So we just make his pupils a little bigger, and now it looks like he's looking at us. And he's got a couple flyaway hairs you can add. Now, so he's got a hoodie on. So there's the V where it kind of comes in. He's got the string here, string there. And he's got a jacket on top of that. It comes down. And you want that to also follow the line of action. Both sides of his jacket, right? And then the bottom of his hoodie is like right like that, let's say, right? That's the bottom of his hoodie, and this is the top of his, kind of that ribbed bottom of your hoodie. And then his jacket is right above that hoodie line on the bottom. And then he's got a white t-shirt that is below that. Like I said, lots of layers of clothing. And so the hoodie, the white t-shirt has to kind of come out a little bit outside of the pant line to show that it's not tucked in. I think he's got like piping on the edge of his pants. We don't see it on the other side because it's on the side. And then got his hand, show a little bit of the finger curled under, and then the ribbing of the end of his jacket. That's pretty much good to go on that side. And then this side, we want the hood. Show a little there, and then it comes out to hook up with his ear there. And then we'll darken these elbow lines, show the ribbing on the end of the jacket. Little circular kind of balled up fist with an indication of the finger. And now we're almost there. We show his slides. We just kind of have these two kind of arcing lines. And I think there's like these, like a stripe on it. And then we show his sock, give him a bottom of the slide that is separate from his sock. Here's this side's arcing lines that show the part of the slide that holds it on his foot. Show the sole of the slide and his sock. Now, this might not be exactly perfect. I hope our character designer, Justin Rodriguez, forgives me when he watches this. If he does, hopefully he doesn't. But there's Darryl. I like giving him a little drop shadow so he feels grounded. And you're in business. I hope you had fun drawing Darryl and figuring it out with me. And as you can see, it's a process. You know, you have to just go on the journey and be okay with learning. And when you make mistakes, there are opportunities to learn and get better. Getting good at drawing takes hundreds and hundreds of drawings. So please be patient with yourself and enjoy the journey. Thank you again for being a fan of the Ghost and Molly McGee. We love you guys. Thank you again. Bye.